Welcome back to another edition of the Racing Show. Quick recap on last weekend's selections. Wasn't quite expecting the 30 odd mils that came in at Newmarket on the Friday night, so that altered things slightly, or maybe it was on Thursday night, I can't remember. But yeah, we had, I think it was 4 selections, 1 9-runner, 3 losers, so we're down to just the plus half a point. One of my favourite weekends racing of the year. It's the Arc meeting at Longchamp in Paris. Multiple Group 1s to get stuck into, so let's take a closer look. Starting off with the first race on the Saturday, it's the Prix Chardonnay. It's a 1 mile 7 furlong race for 3-year-olds, and Illinois is top on ratings here by quite some way. His last few runs have been extremely high level, only losing a neck to our tip Jan Bruegel in the Doncaster St. Leger, only losing a neck to Los Angeles, who goes for the Arc, and again only lost by 2 lengths the time before that at Longchamp behind Sosi, who is one of the front runners in the Arc market. He is very, very short, nearly 1 to 3, touching 4 to 11. Wouldn't advise it in any singles, but more than happy to pop it into a multiple. So that'll be 1 leg of the multiple for the weekend. Moving on to the next race, it's the Prix du Cadran. This is France's version of the Ascot Gold Cup, so you know who's going to win this. Kyprios. The ground has been similar to what we've had this week. Real wet last week to slightly drying ground this week. I think that's a benefit for Kyprios running on Saturday. He also shouldn't really face much opposition. It's a 5-runner race. There's not much going on here. Double Major is the French raider who looks like he could throw up a challenge to Kyprios. Been in really good form recently, winning both of his last 2 starts, and took quite a leap forward in both of them. Last time in particularly winning a Group 2 by 7 lengths at Deauville. So I think if you were pressed to have a bet, I wouldn't tempt anyone away from the reverse forecast, Kyprios and Double Major. But as I said, similar to the Illinois case, Kyprios very short here, but I will be adding it to a multiple with Illinois. Moving on to the only single that I'll be having for day 1 on the Saturday, and it comes in the Group 1, the Prix de Royalieu, which is a 1 mile 6 furlong race for the fillies and mares. 3-year-olds have a very good record in this race, so I would be looking towards those in particularly. Vermeil is a Group 1 for fillies and mares as well, which is run roughly 3 weeks before the Arc. The winner of that race was Bluestocking, who beat Aventure. They both go for the Arc on Sunday. It's often a very, very hotly contested Group 1. And my tip here in the Prix de Royalieu actually ran in the Prix Vermeil, coming up quite short, 10 lengths, 8th of 12 to Bluestocking, but that was a very hotly contested renewal of the Vermeil. And I'd expect Mosaique to be able to bounce back here. Just looking back at her form this year, she's, as I said, got form in behind Bluestocking and Aventure last time out, but before that, only 1 1/4 length defeat to Servi, another one that goes for the Arc, and ran in behind Aventure again earlier in the season, quite a heavy defeat, but none of those likes of horses in this. Some of the horses towards the front of this market can be got at, I think, especially on this ground. It's quite an open race, So at 14 to 1 for Mosaique, I'm quite happy to play. But the main reason that draws me to Mosaique is the fact that Mosaique's dam is the Juliet Rose. And in the last 12 years, the Juliet Rose is the only horse to have won this race twice. This is one of her offspring. Mosaique's by Dubawi. And hopefully Mosaique can emulate her mother and repeat some success for that family in this race. So Mosaique, current 14 to 1, will be the main tip of day one of the Qatar Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe meeting. Moving on to day 2 now. It starts off with two 2-year-old races, kind of their premier 2-year-old crowning races. Starts with the Marcel Boussac, which is for the fillies, the 2-year-old fillies, over a mile. As I mentioned, the ground and the weather for up until Saturday looks to be quite good, but the forecast is saying there is some rain possibility for Sunday. And we know with the recent rainfall that we've had here and in France too, that any rain is probably going to change this from what might start as good to soft quite quickly could become soft or soft to heavy. So when it comes to these 2-year-old races, the first two on the Sunday, I do want a horse that has proven that they stayed the 8 furlongs, the mile trip. With Bedtime Story kind of disappointing last time out in Ireland after looking very, very good in all of her previous starts, I'm more than happy to throw Zarigana into our multiple here. So that includes Illinois on Saturday, Kyprios on Saturday, and now Zarigana, the first race on the Sunday. The only horse in the race to have won over the mile. Conditions will suit. As I said, she won that Group 2 over a mile on soft, so that's not going to be a problem. So yeah, the Zarigana, the favourite in the first on Sunday, goes into a treble with Illinois and Kyprios. Moving on to the same race but for the Colts, so that'll be at 1:30 on Sunday. It's the Jean-Luc Lagardère. Field of Gold is entered here. He's quite highly rated for the Gosden team. He's up there in the betting for the Guineas. Gosden's haven't had a great season, have they? They're yet to kind of find their superstar. This, of course, could be it. But again, could be super soft ground. I don't really want to be backing something that still needs to prove that they stay the mile, that's something that still needs to prove that they handle soft ground. So my attentions initially and still are drawn massively to Misunderstood for Mario Baratti. This horse is unbeaten, just like the Zarigana in the previous race. This horse also has won a 2-year-old group race at Longchamp over the mile, so you can kind of see the way in which I'm approaching this. Field of Gold would be very much a danger here. Misunderstood, when looking at the French Guineas market, has already been placed in at second favourite, and I think, you know, if you're second favourite 4 to 1 to win that, then 7 to 1, 8 to 1 to win this seems quite overpriced to me. He's already posted a 100 plus RPR, which I think is impressive. Others in here, Henry Matisse, he gets a bit too free now. I think he was quite precocious kind of start of the season, 2-year-old that he was. And he won some races, but I'm just not sure about him. Luther, we've had the last twice and kind of really disappointed me last time out. I'm not sure how he'll go. And then a lot of question marks for 8 furlongs for a lot of the horses in there, to be honest, and a lot of horses that have been beat. So Misunderstood at 7 to 1 will be the play in the Jean-Luc Lagardère's, the first single on day 2, the Sunday of the Arc meeting. This race is actually going to be ran after the Arc at 4:05 on Sunday. It's the Opera. It's a Group 1 for fillies and mares over 1 mile 2 furlongs. So maybe for some of those horses that don't quite get that Arc trip. And another one in here wasn't badly disgraced in the Vermeil, and I've mentioned before how I thought that Vermeil was a hot renewal. And Sparkling Plenty comes out as quite an interesting contender here for the Opera. She put up an absolutely brilliant performance in the Diane, which is like the French version of our Oaks, only it's over 10 furlongs, not 12. She beat Servi that day, and then she went on to run in the Nassau Stakes, which is for 3-year-olds and older at Goodwood, only being beaten a length by Opera Singer, which I think is another great piece of form. As I mentioned, stepped up again in trip last time for the Vermeil, beaten 6.5 lengths to Bluestocking. So maybe the distance just kind of stretched her out a bit too much that day. And I, for one, believe that the step back down to 10 furlongs will be a massive help to her. Ylang Ylang has been dreadful this season. Friendly Soul, good, but is she top level? We're not too sure. Fallen Angel, I'm not expecting to stay the 10 furlongs on soft extremely well. She's been very lightly raced. She's very good at a mile. She was very good last year, but not too sure about that. Content, we all know, won the Yorkshire Oaks, and we had her that day, which was a brilliant performance. I just, yeah, again, it's kind of uncharted territory for horses like that. Whereas Sparkling Plenty has been running in all these big races this year, has won a key Group 1 earlier this year, was bought for a lot of money. So Sparkling Plenty at the current 8-1 seems like good value to me. So Sparkling Plenty in the Opera, that's the 4:05 on Sunday.